Prince Andrew's role as a British trade envoy is not under review, Downing Street insists today, saying the Prime Minister has full confidence in him. This ringing endorsement, however, appeared at odds with this morning's comments by the Business Secretary Vince Cable, who said it was up to the Prince to decide if he wanted to continue. The Duke of York himself carried on with a scheduled visit in East London today, although it wasn't long before more controversy about his links with a convicted paedophile emerged, thanks to his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson. Katie Razzle has this report.
Business as usual is how it's being described.
Prince Andrew, are you resigning?
On a visit to the London Crossrail project this morning, Prince Andrew didn't dignify that with an answer. But today, this list of companies, including high-profile names like Shell, Lloyds of London, Foster & Partners and Rolls-Royce, was sent out by UK Trade and Investment to endorse Prince Andrew's trade envoy role. The Duke of York brings in business to UK PLC, they say.
He's a solid professional, he knows what he's doing, he's interested in who he meets, and he asks very smart questions. No one really knows who Nobosem is, but everyone knows who the Duke of York is, and they return his calls. And his office are extraordinarily effective in following up and making sure I know about them and can take action.
More potentially damaging revelations even today, though. The latest, that Prince Andrew's ex-wife was given £15,000 by his American friend Jeffrey Epstein to pay off some of her debts. That friend, a convicted sex offender, whose involvement with underage girls is even now being investigated by the FBI. Sources told Channel 4 News Prince Andrew now recognises it was unwise to have met Epstein in December after his release from jail. He's probably regretting this photograph too, with Epstein's teenage masseuse Virginia Roberts, who's reportedly due to give evidence to the FBI. There's no suggestion of impropriety on the Duke's part.
He's become an embarrassment to the royal family. I think we should say thank you for what you've done over the years to promote British trade, but he needs to step back, he needs to go.
Prince Andrew spent 76 days last year working for Britain as trade envoy, not always in a jacket with his name on, it's assumed. He carried out 550 engagements, met 3,000 companies, visited 19 foreign markets. Today, Downing Street said that unpaid role was not under review. For days, Buckingham Palace has stressed the Duke will continue in the job. The Duke's office told me Prince Andrew is fully committed to his role and pleased to have the government's support. That support came finally today when David Cameron's spokesman said the Prime Minister has full confidence in Prince Andrew. But that wasn't a message from Vince Cable earlier, or the message coming out of Number 10 up to now. There won't be tears if he falls on his sword, was one of the briefings from a government source over the weekend. And although the Business Secretary told the Today programme this morning the Duke of York had done good things for British business, he also said this.
He is a volunteer, he is offered to perform these roles, and I think it's down to him, essentially, to judge the position he wants to be in.
But you might advise him at some point if you felt he was doing more harm than good. I mean, you wouldn't just stand back and say it's up to him, it's nothing to do with me, I'm simply a business secretary and president of the Board of Trade. I mean, it is ultimately down to him.
Well, I'm obviously there are conversations which will take place with him about what he's to do in future.
The government needs to get its act together, because whatever his future, Prince Andrew will not be regarded as credible unless he can be seen to have the wholehearted backing of the government.
Air Miles Andy and his travel spend have been controversial, too costly, say some, for years. The Queen, not her subjects, fund the Prince's office to the tune of £250,000 under the deal done over the civil list. So how much does his trade envoy work cost the taxpayer? UKTI spent £154,000 on accommodation and in-country travel for his 12 trips on their behalf last year. Other travel is funded by the Department for Transport via a grant to the royal household. Last year, accounts show his trade envoy role cost around £500,000 in flights. The accounts only itemise fares of more than £10,000, so it could be more. Plus, we've been told around £500,000 a year is spent on royal protection for the Duke of York. This all adds up to a total of just over £1 million a year.
I am not doing this, as it were, for my own good. I am not getting any return for this. This is all done on behalf of the UK. It's not done on my behalf. If I was doing it, I wouldn't, as it were, allocate my time in this way.
It emerged tonight. The list of businesses released today to endorse Prince Andrew is at least a year old. UKTI told Channel 4 News none of them had asked to be removed from the Duke's website as a result of the recent reports.
Katie Razzle reporting. We'll have more on the Prince Andrew controversy at 7:30.